Ever feel like you're just drowning in information online?
Yeah.
Scrolling endlessly, just trying to grab the important bits?
Yeah, like searching for the cheat codes or
Yeah,
just tell me what actually matters.
exactly. Well, think of this as your audio shortcut. Welcome to the deep dive.
That's the idea. We wade through the sources and we pull out the genuinely useful stuff for you. No filler, just insights you might actually be able to use.
And today we're getting into a book that honestly, it might shift how you see business and
Hmm.
maybe even, your own daily grind.
Hmm.
It's called Conscious Capitalism. The authors are John Mackey and Raj Sisodia. Now, capitalism, that word can stir things up, but this isn't quite what you might expect.
Definitely. Our aim today is really to give you the core concepts, the actionable takeaways from this book, stuff that could actually be useful whether you're, say, leading a team, starting something new, or just thinking about your career.
Right, we're your guides to the key stuff, basically.
Let's get into it then.
Okay, so first big idea. The book really pushes back against that really common notion that a business exists only to make money for shareholders.
Right, that whole profit maximization is everything idea. And they point out it wasn't always seen that way. They suggest that a persistent myth likely came about around the Industrial Revolution. It's kind of a newer idea, relatively speaking.
Interesting. So conscious capitalism makes the case that businesses, and maybe, by extension, our own projects or work,
Hmm.
should aim higher, have a purpose that thinks about everyone involved.
Yeah, all the stakeholders. So that's your customers, obviously, but also your team members. That's what they call employees, investors, too, of course, but also suppliers, the wider community, even the environment.
It's a much bigger picture, isn't it?
Totally. And you can probably relate this to your own life, right? Like if you only focus laser sharp on one single goal, maybe salary,
Right.
you might end up neglecting other really important things, your health, maybe, or relationships. The book suggests that companies, and maybe us too, do better when there's a broader purpose.
Yeah. And it's not just about, feeling good. It's about what actually drives an organization
Mm.
or, a person. They say purpose really energizes companies,
Mm.
helps them get beyond just the narrow interests of one group.
It gives you that why, doesn't it? Beyond just the paycheck.
Exactly.
There's a simple definition they mention from Roy Spence and Haley Rushing. Purpose is just a definitive statement about the difference that you are trying to make. Simple as that.
So the impact you want to have.
Yeah, and that's a great question for you listening right now. What is the bigger difference you're trying to make, in your work, maybe even just day to day? Getting clear on that can really focus your actions.
That's powerful. The book uses Whole Foods Market as an example. Their purpose wasn't just, sell groceries.
Right. It was much bigger, helping people eat well, improve their lives, maybe even live longer. Plus, promoting organic food, caring for the environment. It gives everyone involved something more meaningful to connect to.
Okay, so if purpose is central, how does that change the game? The book really challenges that old dog-eat-dog view of business.
Yeah, the zero-sum game idea, where if I win, you have to lose.
Right.
Mackey apparently had this big realization early in his career. He said, the most important thing he learned was that business isn't based on exploitation or forcing people. It's actually built on cooperation.
Cooperation. Interesting.
Yeah, and voluntary exchange. People choosing to work together or trade because it benefits them. He called it a win-win-win-win game. He really liked that idea.
Win-win-win-win. So everyone benefits.
That's the goal. Think about your own deals or collaborations. Are you looking for ways everyone involved comes out ahead? Ed Freeman and others really emphasize this too. They say managing for stakeholders isn't about constantly making trade-offs.
Oh.
It's about being innovative, entrepreneurial, finding ways to make all the key stakeholders better off, getting everyone pulling in the same direction.
So finding those synergies, like in your next negotiation, instead of just thinking, what do I have to give up? You could ask, how can we make this better for everyone here?
Exactly. It shifts the whole dynamic.
Okay, so purpose, stakeholders, win-win. This all seems to lead towards a different kind of leadership, doesn't it?
It does. They call it conscious leadership. And it's not about being just tough or just soft. It's different.
How so?
Well, Sally Jewell puts it nicely. She says the book shows how to become conscious leaders, which she sees as pretty much the same as her idea of authentic leadership. It's about integrating your heart and your head.
Heart and head.
Yeah, developing self-awareness, emotional intelligence, but also empowering other people to do that too. Leading with your whole self, basically, not just your analytical brain.
Hmm. When you think about leaders you really respect, they probably have that quality, right? They connect on a human level, but they also get things done.
Absolutely. So the question for you maybe is how can you bring more of that conscious leadership, more self-awareness, more empathy into your own sphere, whether you're officially leading a team or just working with others?
Right. It applies everywhere. The book also talks a lot about the people doing the work, the team members, and how crucial their engagement is.
And it goes beyond just salary and bonuses. They referenced Daniel Pink's work from Drive.
Oh yeah, great book.
Right. And his point that those external motivators, the carrots and sticks, they really only work well when the task itself is kind of dull or lacks meaning.
Okay.
When the work has meaning, people are driven by something deeper, intrinsic motivation, autonomy, mastery, purpose, that stuff.
And here's a bit of a slightly depressing statistic they mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
For years, worker engagement in the U.S. has hovered around like 30%.
Wow. Only 30%.
Yeah. Meaning like 70% of people aren't really feeling connected or enthusiastic about their jobs. The book actually calls this the shame of management.
Oof. Yeah, it's not great. Failing to create workplaces where people feel that sense of purpose.
So again, a question for you listening. What makes you feel engaged? What gives you that intrinsic motivation? And maybe how could you help create more of that purposeful environment for yourself or for the people you work with?
Maybe even just making things a bit more fun, like Southwest Airlines is known for doing. Little things can make a difference.
Definitely. And underpinning all of this, there's another huge element, trust.
Oh, absolutely critical. They call trust the essential lubricant for any conscious organization. Without it, things just seize up.
Like trying to run an engine without oil.
Exactly. And that trust, the book argues, it grows out of having that clear higher purpose and those shared values we talked about. When everyone's aligned on the why and the how, trust tends to build naturally.
So it connects back again.
It all interconnects. So thinking about your own relationships, work, personal, whatever, how could you build more trust? Maybe by being more transparent, by consistently acting in line with your stated values.
That takes conscious effort, doesn't it?
It does. They mention how Whole Foods, for example, handled downsizing. It was obviously tough, but they apparently did it with a lot of honesty and care, trying to cushion the blow. And Howard Behar has a great line about this. Caring is not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength, and it can't be faked.
You can't fake genuine care. People see through that.
Right.
Okay, another theme that runs through the book is this idea of ongoing development. It's not like you reach conscious and then stop.
No, definitely not. They state it pretty simply. Life is about learning and growing. It's a continuous journey.
And challenges aren't roadblocks necessarily.
Exactly. They're framed as opportunities, opportunities to learn, adapt, get better. There's even this interesting exercise they suggest. Try treating every single person you meet as if they're fully enlightened.
Wow. As if they have something important to teach you.
Yeah. See every interaction as a potential learning moment. It's a mindset shift, but imagine how it could change your interactions.
That's quite a challenge.
Yeah.
The book also points out that often when we feel really stuck or overwhelmed, when our old ways aren't working, that's often a sign that we're being called to grow, to reach a, quote, higher plane. Like our internal operating system needs an update.
Yeah, time for Conscious Capitalism 2.0 in your own life.
Huh, right. Okay, one last major area they touch on, which I found really interesting, is about values. Specifically, the rise of what they term feminine values.
Yeah, they talk about an increasing appreciation in business and leadership for qualities like caring, compassion, cooperation, intuition. Things sometimes stereotypically associated with the feminine, but valuable for everyone.
So balancing out maybe the more traditional focus on pure competition or hierarchy.
Exactly. And it's not just about personality traits, it's also about different kinds of intelligence. We all know IQ, analytical intelligence, but they stress the growing importance of EQ, emotional intelligence.
Right, understanding emotions.
SQ, spiritual intelligence, which is about purpose and meaning, and even SYQ, systems intelligence.
Systems intelligence, what's that?
Kind of understanding how everything connects, seeing the bigger picture, the interdependencies, not just focusing on isolated parts.
Okay, that makes sense. So broadening our definition of what smart means in leadership and life?
Pretty much. So another point for reflection for you. Which of these different intelligences, emotional, spiritual systems might you want to develop further? And how could embracing qualities like empathy or collaboration more fully change your interactions?
Lots to think about there. Okay, phew, that was a pretty packed tour of conscious capitalism. Let's try and boil it down. What are the key takeaways for someone listening?
Okay, first big one. Look beyond just profit. Find and articulate a higher purpose for your work or business, one that considers all the people it affects. That purpose can be incredibly energizing.
Got it. Purpose beyond profit. What else?
Second, business, and maybe life, isn't a zero-sum game. Focus on creating win-win-win scenarios. Find ways for your customers, your team, your partners, everyone to benefit. Think cooperation, not just trade-offs.
Right. Win-win thinking.
Okay.
Third,
Third, lead consciously. That means integrating your heart and your head. Develop self-awareness, practice empathy, empower others. It's about authentic leadership.
lead with heart and head. Okay, number 4.
Number 4, your team's engagement matters hugely. People are motivated by intrinsic factors, purpose, autonomy, growth, and foundational to all of this is trust, which you build through transparency and living your values.
Engagement and trust are key.
Uh,
All right, and finally,
Finally, it's all a journey. Embrace continuous learning and growth. See challenges as opportunities, and maybe broaden your perspective to include diverse intelligences and values like compassion and collaboration.
continuous growth and broader values.
Yeah.
Great summary. So here's maybe a final thought to leave you with. What's one small, concrete step you could take today? Something small in your work or just your personal life to bring a bit more of this conscious thinking into how you operate.
Yeah, maybe it's just taking 5 minutes to think about your own purpose, or consciously trying to see a situation from someone else's perspective. Small steps.
Exactly. And hey, if this discussion resonated, you might want to check out the book itself, Conscious Capitalism. There's obviously a lot more detail in there.
For sure. It's a worthwhile read.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope it gave you some valuable insights and perhaps a little inspiration to approach things a bit more consciously.
Thanks for listening.